trying to convince them of the truth. You know, I told you before, as I've told all of the men and women that are on the right side of the universe working right now, I don't envy you. I don't envy any of you. Matter of fact, I have a lot of grace and mercy for all of you because you are seriously working hard to save people on this planet. And you're not just trying to save those people from the systems on this planet. You're actually trying to save those people from themselves. Because with everything that you said right now, you're only going to get a handful of people that's going to truly believe you. The rest of them...
I'll take that handful.
I know. And that's what's so beautiful about it, because you don't mind just getting possibly 3 or 4, maybe 5 people to listen to save themselves. And that's beautiful. It says that if we could just save one, that would be the greatest thing that could happen to you and to the world. For as our Father said, if you could just save one, you know, you would send 1,000 and thousands of legions to flight. That means they got to go. So that one right there is going to do everything they can to make sure that they uphold the laws of God and that they live in a manner whereby they will have everlasting life. And that's beautiful. So I'm going to say to you, again, I say you're doing a magnificent job.
Thank you.
And right now, you know, with everything that's going on around the world, internationally, and we know we don't do that call until 10 a.m. tomorrow, if they might call it that. We're going to say 10 a.m. in a few hours. We'll be giving it to the United Nations. That means all of the nations, worlds, planets, universes, they all get to hear that particular call go out to them. I'm talking about even if they're just now landing on Mars or landing in some NASA would-be ship on some foreign would-be planet, they need to understand that what's going out now is also for them, for their health, their protection, their survival. They're preventing them from being extinct. Now, the reason I said that you're actually pleading, and we know you are, with all of these individuals on the planet, knowing that only a handful of them are going to even take it serious enough to do exactly what is needed to be done. And I want to say to all of them that are out there right now, you know, I would say back about 30-plus years, let's go back 40-something years now, I would have been seriously worried, concerned. I would have been up in arms, trying to do my best. And not only that, I have to remember that I have a sister now that she's sleeping and resting in the arms of my father that would say, Doctor, you're not trying to do anything. You're doing it. You're doing it. And those of them that will recognize that, they'll be okay. They'll be saved. They'll be able to come back to this planet, have everlasting life, and thereafter, being that they be obedient to the word and follow it to the letter. And you know, as we go along, Hope, we are looking at so many people now that are falling by the wayside, one would say, because they're waiting. They're waiting on something or someone to come, and each one of them keep finding all of these earthly kings that they want to make them heroes, and they want to believe that those heroes are going to show them some manner of being able to even become wealthy through some would-be currency system. And they're waiting for that. Meanwhile, their souls are preparing themselves to be cooking in hell. I'm calling it like it is. That's why I say to you, I don't envy you. I don't envy any of the men and women that are still working hard to save the planet, to save other individuals. You know, in 2000, when I decided I was going to take my family's wealth, my family's blood wealth, and I was going to set out to save the entire universe. One came to me, when I say one, I'm talking about billions of people came to me, asking me why would I take so much of my would-be so-called finances and put it up as a collateral to save other people on the planet who, most of them didn't know me, and those that did know me, they didn't care anything about me. Nothing. And they were asking me, what's your concern? You know, in 2000, I was running all over the planet, doing nothing more than explaining to the people that they were getting ready to bring in a certain so-called individual. They were going to classify him as being the so-called would-be anointed one. They were going to call him the new coming or the second coming of Jesus the Christ. I told him that. And I told him he would be seated by the year of 2004. And nobody ever paid any attention to what I said, and they took it. What is he talking about? Is he crazy? And when 2004, Barack Obama walked into the White House, as a would-be senator from nowhere. Nobody knew where he came from. And he started claiming all these weird would-be so-called connections, relationship, family connections to who he was that possibly could have put him in a position where God would have sent him. Nobody argued. I didn't get upset. Nobody cared about that. I knew that in 2000 I had done everything there was to do to save this entire universe. I wasn't concerned about 2004.
Right.
4 years later, if we might say a double covenant from God, Barack Obama was seated in the White House seat, a presidency, considered to be the most powerful seat on the planet, the most intelligent seat on the planet, the most wealthiest seat on the planet in 2008. And believe it or not, if anyone could read what is known as the Holy Scriptures in a manner where they will understand it rather than try to dismiss it, they will realize that it told them then that the person that was ushered in what was known to us as the Antichrist system would be in the would-be so-called White House in 2008. And everybody missed it. No one paying attention to it. It says 2,000 years thereafter and the new beginning. That's 2008. But everyone can't read anything. They have a problem being able to simply put things together in that manner. You know, you got these fat boys, and I'm calling them fat boys. They're what I consider to be, from my world of where I grew up down south, they're those old biscuit, gravy sopping, chicken eating so-called preachers. All over the planet now want to claim that, oh, well, the people that are in the Bible, they don't exist. Historically, we can't find them. You know why, you idiots, you fat, greasy, chicken, biscuit, gravy sopping individual? The reason you can't find them in there because history is only being recorded now. They just now showed up. They're not going to be already there because that will be history gone past, not history. You know, I have to express in this manner that I'm doing right now. In order that I kind of jingle, they would say their chains, because they're all in chains and they don't realize they are. So to jingle their chains, they get upset. But I have to tell them, they have already been locked in chains and ain't nothing they can do to get out. So I don't care anything about them talking all pig-headed and ignorant. I don't care anything about that. You know, and all of them, I would say all of them, I'm talking about the unrighteous, because you have to understand that in 2000, when I was still a young man, doing nothing more than going before the Universal International Court to pay for everybody's redemption on the planet, to redeem everybody, just as it has been recorded in the Holy Scripture. But it didn't exist up until then. No one had done that. Even the one they keep calling Jesus the Christ never took any money off the exchanger's tables or any place else did he take that money and pay for everyone's redemption. But it happened. It happened in 2000, just as they were told it would happen, because I did it. No, I wasn't reading the Bible. No, I didn't care if it was written in the Bible. I followed my Father's command, and that's what I did. I did what my Father commanded me to do.
Yes, sir.
I'm not just talking about the Heavenly Father. I did what my earthly father told me to do. That was one by the name of Cleophas, which was my grandfather, known in the Bible as the Rock. Then came along my father, his son, which his name was Isaac, and I am only one of the 3 living sons of Isaac. I am Isaac's second son. I am the covenant son of Isaac. But all these things are happening, and you got them idiots again, biscuit, gravy sopping, chicken eating, so-called preachers out there that don't understand that history and their Bible is just now being written. So whatever they've been preaching about, I have no clue. And I'm not too concerned about listening to any of them. I don't listen to any of them because all of them are too much concerned with one thing: money, currency. That's all they care about. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're John Hagee. I don't care if they're Creflo Dollar. I don't care if they're T.D. Jakes. I don't care if they would be so-called George Myers. I'm not concerned about any of them because all of them got everything in common: money, wealth, sex, and ignorance with arrogance. All of them got that in common. Every last one of them. Am I attacking them? No, I'm just stating facts, the truth. None of them are going to disagree with me. None of them. Because in order for them to disagree with me, they would have to blaspheme her. And all of them are afraid of blaspheming. They know that blaspheming will put them in a position where the breath of life would just leave their bodies. And none of them are willing to take that chance. They're just that chicken and scared. I call it chicken and scared. They're just that coward. They're not going to say anything, and they better not, because if they do, I'm going to challenge them. And then they're going to drop dead. We don't have time for games. When I'm talking, I'm saying to you, I know you're reaching out to all the people right now. The people have put themselves in a position whereby they have bought these heroes in which they themselves purchased those heroes. They purchased them. They paid for them. Those heroes have been paid for a lifetime on this planet by the people. And the people don't recognize it. The people are looking for someone as if though now they don't recognize the fact that the whole world is wanting Donald Trump back in the White House, except for those that are classified to be so-called Democrats in the United States of America, because the Democrats are still the Dixiecrats of the South in the United States of America. They're still the ones that want everyone to pretend that they got everyone's interest at hand, but at the same time, the only interest that they got at hand is money and their jackleg would-be Ku Klux Klan grandfathers and fathers. That's all they really care about. They don't want anybody to be able to take that away from their grandfathers and their fathers, especially the wealth. They want to believe that the land is theirs, and the only way they can keep the land is by keeping that chain around those Negroes, those niggers, those black colored folks down in the South. They have to keep a chain around their neck. They don't care if they're singing, jumping, preaching, praying, doing whatever them niggers, that's what they're saying, want to do down there. You let them do it, but at the end of the day, they have to be in this position where they will be acceptance to us and agree with us. And that's what the Democratic of the United States is all about. And everybody's saying, well, why aren't you attacking the Republicans? For what reason? Why would I attack the Republicans? Do you understand that the Republicans are cousins to the Democrats? They kind of like Mary right now. Mary Trump, I don't know if anyone's heard of her. She is the cousin of Donald Trump Jr. And just so happens, Donald Trump just so happens to be her uncle. And she is so angry with him. If she had her way, the world would not have to worry about taking her uncle to court. They wouldn't have to impeach her uncle. They wouldn't even have to worry about following her uncle around every day. Because you know what? If it was legal, she would have already killed her uncle. You know why? Because she's so angry with her uncle and her grandfather and her would-be cousins, because they put her sorry, no-good, whorish mother out there on her own, and they actually went to the extent of having to blackball her father from the family because he couldn't keep that slut in place. He can keep that slut in order. I'm saying, and I'm praying that Mary challenges me. I need her to challenge me. I need her to challenge me. See, her uncle and her cousins and all of them are still trying to be so kind to her because they don't want to attack their brother. They don't want to attack their uncle. That wasn't nothing but an alcoholic drunk, bringing shame to the family. We all got them. We have to admit, we all got them old drunk grand uncles that comes to the family every year. He messes up the barbecue. He comes to the reunion. He destroys the family reunion. He even comes to weddings, never bring a gift, and destroys the weddings. We all got him. And that's what her daddy was. Excuse me, Donald. I know you don't want to say this about your brother, but I have to. I'm just putting it out there. Mary's mother spoiled the whole world when getting with the Trump family. I don't care if she's dead or alive. I'm just calling it like it is. Let her speak for herself. If she ever got off that crack and weed and all of that other would-be so-called drinks she was doing. I'm just calling it like it is so the world will know. You know, because I know the world's listening to me. And I'm not going to leave the world out there where they got to chase one man down. No one says Donald Trump is perfect. And I can tell you right now, I am not backing Donald Trump. I am not supporting Donald Trump. I am not campaigning for Donald Trump. Because you know why? Because the United States of America classifies Donald Trump as being the less of two evils. And I'm not for neither one of those. I don't believe that one has to deal with the lesser of two evils. And let me help you out. Even though DeSantis, yes, Ron, just now decided that he was going to drop out of the presidency. Everybody that dropped out of the presidency so far has done nothing more than back Donald Trump. Why do you think that is? Because they believe that he is the lesser of two evils. You know why? Because they know for a fact that even with him going through trials in New York, going through trials in Georgia, they already know that Donald Trump, for their concern, is the most credibility of a person to have what they need is finances, money. And they don't know how to get it. They don't know if they throw him in jail if he ain't already willed it off or sold it off or already gave it off in case he goes to jail to his children. And they can't prosecute all of his children for crimes that they didn't commit, just like they're doing him. Because it would look too obvious to the rest of the world, which will put them in a position where they give themselves away. So that's what they fear of right now. New York talking about he overinflated his would-be so-called wealth. No, New York, you overinflated his wealth because nobody in their right mind sold Donald Trump, which would have been known as the Trump Towers in New York, but New York. The state did that. You sold it to him. He didn't buy it from Rick Ross. He didn't buy it from Tupac Shakur. He didn't buy it from Biggie Small. He didn't buy it from a Puff Daddy. He didn't buy it from a Snoop Dogg. He bought it from the state of New York. That's where he got that from. He got a license to run it in the state of New York. Now you want to claim he overinflated it. Who cares? It was your fault. You're holding him responsible. Who estimated it to begin with? You're right. And nobody complained. Not even the SEC ever set out to sue Donald Trump for nothing. We're talking about the Security Exchange. But they set out, I can tell you, the SEC, call him up and ask him. Your SEC, they set out to sue one known as Jay-Z. Yeah, Mr. Carter. They set out to do nothing more than sue him when he began to get all that so-called would-be credit of wealth. They set out to sue him. He was from New York, born right there in New York. They set out to sue him. You know why? Because they wanted money back. They wanted that credit back. And they just believed the only way they were going to be able to get that credit back from a black man was to take it. But they wasn't worried about Donald Trump. You know why? Because he was a white man. Not only was he a white man, but he was the less of their evil or their true evil. I'm just calling it like it is. And the whole world is listening to me now. You know, we're looking into the community that's known as the melanated community, the dark people. They're the only ones that right now seem to be brain totally dysfunctional, dead. Because they're the only ones that's running around listening to a bunch of white people give them advice and give them this so-called information whereby they're going to come in and shut Donald Trump down. Listen, people, you're going to be back out in the cotton field picking cotton. That's where you're about to hit. I'm just calling it like it is. I'll get you out when it's time to get you out, but I don't think you really want to get out right now. I think you like being in the cotton field. I think you like being out there singing all these amazing grace, how sweet it sounds. I think you like that. I think you like being out in the cotton field singing "We Shall Overcome" with a bunch of fat, greasy biscuit, gravy supping, chicken eating so-called men that's going to call themselves preachers to be talking to you on Sunday about everybody somehow one day finding Jesus so they can become free. I think you like that. I think that's your way of just living on this planet. I know, get angry with me if you want to. I'm just calling it like it is. I think you like the Puff Daddies. I think you like the Puff Daddies that'll come knock on your door all dressed up, looking fine as he could be. Got his whip outside, and it's got shiny rims on it. Even he riding on 20s. I know, I'm with you. You like that. He comes in, he talks to the grandmother, he talks to the mother any kind of way. You know why? Because there's no daddy in the household. So he comes in, he takes your young daughter out the front door. He takes her out, he rapes her, he brings her back home. He comes back in, he takes your youngest son, he takes him out the back door, and he rapes him, and he brings him back home. I think you like that. I think you like that kind of lifestyle. And all in all, he may pay your light for 1 year. He may just get you a new couch, being that he done spent most of his time lying in there on it, fingering your daughter. Stay with me. I'll keep it as clean as I can for you. I will. No, I'm not Geno Jennings. For sure I'm not. Because he ain't going to go this far. I know he wants. You know what? He ain't going to go as far as to talk to you like this, but yet and still spend his money to do nothing more than redeem you throughout this would-be so-called planet to save your life or anybody else's life. He's not about to do that. Already did it. He already knows that. And he himself won't even admit that it's already been done. He'll tell you that, oh, well, we all been redeemed. And he keeps telling you Jesus Christ did it. We were all redeemed. Read the Bible. Read the scriptures. Where was he at? How much did he put in? Surely if we sit down and smoke a joint, surely he got at least $5 in this bag that we doing nothing more than twisting these little white cigarettes out of, or these would-be so-called cigars cut in half, where we sprinkle it on the inside of them. Surely he got $5 in on this. Or he just talking. Stay with me. I'm just bringing you to your world of reality of truth. I don't have time to play with you. I'm just calling it like it is. I know you can relate to what I'm saying. You've been there, done all of that. I know. No, I'm not giving away what you do every day to get you in trouble. They had already legalized it for you. Right after they laced it with everything they could find that'll kill you from the here to would-be kingdom come. They done already laced it. Listen to me. I got people now lying in the hospital for all of you would-be blunt smokers out there that's going to the CDCs to pick it up. Let me help you out. I got people lying in the hospital right now having chest pains, difficulty breathing, pinpointed pupil. Come on, stay with me. I don't know if you ever heard this before. Oh, you did. Have you ever heard that before? Host, have you ever heard anybody talk like that before?
All the time, sir. You tell us that that's symptoms of like radiation poisoning and those kinds of things.
Nuclear, biological, chemical, and they come from chemical warfare. Yeah.
NBC.
Yes. Nuclear, biological, chemical, NBC, yes. And believe it or not, so many people now are going to the hospital with upper respiratory symptoms. They call it a symptom. That's not a symptom. That is an all-out would-be attack of an NBC attack. I'm just telling you what it is. And it's all inside of something they keep calling cannabis. Cannabis. And everybody's wondering, well, why is there all the rappers seem to be dying off? They're not dying off from COVID. I can assure you that. See, most of them smoke. Why do you think they let Snoop Dogg come out claiming that he had stopped smoking, but at the same time over the commercial to actually keep you smoking? He don't get it himself. Right now, when you look at Snoop Dogg, a man who is barely even getting out of his 50s, he looks like he's in his 80s. I'm not attacking him. I'm just telling you. Because that cannabis that he's smoking is sucking the would-be oxygen out of his skin, his lungs, stay with me, his hair, even his toenails and fingernails are having the oxygen sucked out of them because of all of that so-called would-be cannabis that he's smoking that he believes is legal. Because they gave him a legal wage. And that's his world. I'm not attacking you, Mr. Brothers. Listen to me. I'm not attacking you. But I need you to understand, they're killing you slowly. I know you remember that song where it says, killing me softly with the love. That's what they're doing to you. All that love you're receiving from the so-called media, the so-called love that everybody got for Snoop Dogg, that's how they're killing you softly. That's why. I'm just giving it to you fact. I know nobody wants to hear this because Dr. Henderson has been telling them this now since at least, or they can remember, 2000. But listen here. I started back in the 1970s of telling them this. We used to set up little parks that we had, Rock Park and all these other places. And they had nobody out there singing but people like Earth, Wind, and Fire, singing songs like We Are the World and all of the other songs, That's the Way of the World, and all the other things that we were then bringing it to everyone's attention. You know, I just noticed that just this week they gave George Clinton, not that George, stop it. They gave George Clinton nothing more than a star on what they classified to be the Hollywood Walk of Fame. They gave him a star. You want to know something? George, I love you. I love Parliament and Funkadelic. One of the founding members, him and I, we talk all the time. But I need you to understand that all of that cannabis that they're giving you now is not the same as it was then. Listen to me. Listen to me. You're 83 years old now, George. You're 83. You made it that far. Don't allow them now to bring you some cannabis that's legal and take you out. When you've been out there for 83 years smoking cannabis, smoking marijuana, excuse me, I'm just calling it like it is. I'm not putting them on you. They already know. You've been getting it from everywhere that you could get it when it was pure. Organic, you would call it. And now you're going to allow them to give you something that they done grew in somebody's would-be chemist room, knowing that it is a chemical, biological weapon known as nuclear, biological, chemical weapons. I know I'm just talking to the air right now. You're not going to listen? I know what I'm doing. I already know that. Half the people that are listening to me right now that's got connections to him is not going to tell them that. They're too afraid to tell them. If I tell them, you know what he'll do to me? I don't care. I'm telling them, I don't care what he'll do to me. I'm just telling them the truth. I guarantee if he don't listen to me, he'll see exactly what I just said out of my mouth will happen very soon and quickly. Because the more I tell you guys, the less they care about you guys. And they're just waiting for y'all to not listen to me so they can take you out. Because they know you're not going to eat it. They already know that. Listen to this. Recently, the United States of America began to start talking about money and taking currencies that they have done nothing more than seize from other would-be nations. You know, America is so notorious for sanctioning other nations, and they're not explaining the whole thing to even those would-be so-called workers in the White House. The average senator, representative in the White House has no clue what sanctions are really all about. They have no clue. They read their so-called would-be definition, but they really don't know what's behind sanctions. They don't know what it does. Sanctions starve people. Sanctions thirst people to death. Sanctions put people in a position where they can't even live a normal, healthy life. That's what sanctions do. And America sanctions nations in order to take away their ability to be able to do nothing more than support themselves. And when the nations come and complain to the world court, we listen. You know who don't listen? The people, the many people that are out there. Right now, you got half of the European world, Belgium, Great Britain, all of them guys out there right now, all they want to do is take money that they done sanctioned from allowing the Russian people to start starving, become poor, unable to pay for their rent. They become to the point where they start getting evicted. And you want to know something? I would have to say that even though they may have victimized him to a point that made him nothing more than a tyrant, but he's still allowing the people to maintain an ability to be able to take care of themselves, even knowing that they don't have these funds because they've been stolen by the United States of America and their so-called allies. Right now, it says that the West stands to lose at least $288 billion in assets. This is the assets that they seized. They seized it from what is known as Russia. A total of $3 billion. And Russia says that this is sovereign Russian assets. And it is. And it's illegal for America to seize it. It's illegal for America to sanction it because it's sovereign Russian assets. And right now, they only got like the U.S. of A., Great Britain, Belgium, and a couple of other crazy nations like Ukraine wanting to take that would be so-called sovereign funds away from one nation and give it to a nation who don't even have anything going right now for its them being sovereign, and that's Ukraine. Ukraine got their sovereignty off of nothing more than what Russia was doing to make sure that all nations had their own sanctions and they had their sovereignty. This is what the world right now is so totally confused about. Based upon 1945 all the way to 1967, the West, United States of America confused the whole world through manipulation. Arrogance along with it. And most of them now that's in the White House are just ignorant. They can't just be arrogant, but they're ignorant. You know why? Because they didn't have no knowledge of what I just said. They didn't. They went in the White House because of a lot of you put them there. You saw them in brand new suits. They were driving brand new cars. They said that they had graduated Harvard and Yale. They said that they were those of the wealthiest families in America. And you did nothing more than made them eligible so they could go in your White House. This is your so-called would-be eligibility to qualify people to go in the White House. People with substantial would-be so-called finance. You know, why do you think when they get the president, they go and do nothing more than check to see how much taxes they done paid? Taxes. They do a tax survey on them before they ever say that they are qualified to be president. And let me help you out. The average one of them that they say that are those that they're going to give a tax break. Yes. Because everybody knows that people, just like Barack Obama, he didn't have $20,000 in anybody's bank account when he was getting ready to go into the so-called would-be Senate seat in 2004. I'm not attacking you, Barack Obama. It's just the fact that everybody already knows it. And even though the media may have blown it out of proportion or blown it up, as one might say, everybody knows that you was running around with more than one Social Security number as ownership. I'm not attacking you, and no, I'm not accusing you so they can come and start investigating you and throwing you behind bars, because you were doing those things in order to be able to be qualified for certain positions. Plagiarism is not the largest crime that goes on at the White House. No, it's those who are tax evaders. That's the largest crime that goes on in the White House, tax evasion. Yeah, they are. They're the ones that have set up a system that they said that it was for the people. Relaxation without taxation. And you want to know something? Every last one of them are in agreement to tax the people while they themselves evade taxes. I'm going to call it like it is. Just like what they've been told by the whole Eastern world. So, see, now they're no longer looking at North and South, because they want you to believe that everything in the North and the South is froze out based upon North Pole, South Pole. So they only want to discuss East and West. But everything East right now is in disagreement with everything that's in the West, because they know that everything that the West is doing is illegal right now. They already know that. And everything in the East right now is preparing itself for what we are classifying as the global reset. They also are preparing themselves for power. There you go. They're saying we are going to have a transfer of power, irregardless. This transfer of power, they say, is going to come from the West back to the East. That's what everybody else is preparing for. I'm telling you that even Ukraine is working along with the East world to do nothing more than transfer the power from the West back to the East, and thereby he believes that he'll be better equipped to deal with any would-be political situation that may come up. And the West can't even see it. You know why? Because the West got the dumbest leaders that could have ever been even created on this planet. Everybody already knows that. That's what the whole universe is talking about now. They are seriously wondering if they have to grab the whole Western world and do nothing more than a psychiatric would-be so-called. I'm telling you, that's what they want to do. They want to do a psychological test on the whole West world. Because they said these have got to be the most dumbest, ignorant, arrogant people that have ever been on any planet. But they just don't get it. Recently, they want to tell you that this so-called would-be ship that they was once calling the boat that Noah was on, and they want to say, well, it never existed. Why is it today they want to tell you that some long-lost ship has been found in the desert of laden with gold, and that ship, they call it Barn Jesus, better known as the Good Jesus. You know, let me help you out. This is the same ship that they're saying that brought all the Nubian people from Africa to America. This Good Jesus, this Barn Jesus. But now, supposedly they have found it over in Namibia, and it's laced with gold. I mean, and I would agree. It's there. But they found this ship way back in 2008. Why is everybody just now finding about it now? 2008, does it make any sense? Yeah, because it was silenced from the people of the West in 2008 by the media, in which at that time was being ran by the administration. And that administration decided to silence all of this kind of information from the people. This was a ship that sailed on a Friday, March the 7th, 1533. Full of gold. What they failed to tell you is that it was also full of nothing more than Africans. And believe it or not, they say that that journey was, they were on their way to India. I'm just giving it to you plain and simple. You figure it out. I'm not going to sit here and play games with you. This is not the would-be so-called let's make a deal. It's none of that. It's none of that. It's no Price is Right. It's definitely not Family Feud, because they got, well, let me stop. Anyway, it's definitely not Family Feud, because you got to believe that the person that they would have running the Family Feud is going to be the one that more than any of the other game show hosts is going to make sure that they try to manipulate the people and keep this a secret. I'm just calling it like it is. Time out for playing games. I've never been playing the game. I'm just telling you, time out for playing the game. You know, they're angry with one white boy right now by the name of Charlie Kirk. You know why? Because Charlie Kirk spoke out just recently, knowing that it was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. He spoke out and he said that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was awful. He's not a good person, he said. He says one good thing he actually didn't believe was that the civil rights icons had nothing to do with what we're doing now. This is just Charlie Kirk. But you have to understand, he's a white boy. He's entitled to say all those things. You want to know why? Because Charlie Kirk wasn't around. He was still in his daddy's sack. In case you don't understand what that means, he was still in his daddy's sack. He wasn't nowhere around, so he wouldn't have been able to understand civil rights from any other type of movement. He don't know what they was doing when they marching, crawling, jumping. He wouldn't have had a clue because Charlie Kirk was still in his daddy's sack. I'm just telling you. You know, that's the thing now that really affects the whole entire universe. Because the average person out there now, that they're even preaching about Dr. Martin Luther King, are they even talking about the dream? Most of them were still in their daddy's sack. They have no clue. They wasn't even around when Dr. King was on the planet. They wasn't even around to catch the tail end of the would-be so-called civil rights march. None of them. I'm just calling it like it is. If they're under right now, 60 years old, they wasn't around. Trust me, they wasn't around. If they're under the age of 60 years old, they were not around. They wasn't. I can assure you that. They have no clue. No offense to people like Geno Jennings. He was not around. During the civil rights movement where Dr. Martin Luther King was on the earth and was preaching to everybody about getting along and finding a way to love one another, Dr. Jenkins, and I'm going to give him that, Jennings, I'm going to give Dr. Jennings his credit because he wants it. He was not on the planet. So what does he know? He never lived in that time. So what? He grew up a poor black child. He was not around during the civil rights movement. I'm just telling you the truth. Was I around? You better believe I was. For that person that wants to be so wise to ask me the question, yes, I was around. I sure was around. For a matter of fact, I was old enough to remember Dr. King. I sure was. As a matter of fact, I was old enough to go out and march. I sure was. For a matter of fact, not only did I know and was able to be there during those civil rights movements and those walks, I also met Miss Coretta and Miss Yolanda before they passed away. And we had the same discussion. Was I there? But them knowing my age was very much understood because Yolanda was sitting there. And there wasn't that much difference between her and myself. And she had a brother that were my age. So she understood it, yes. I understood. I would have remembered him. So now we're kind of investing in people that have no clue. No clue. No clue. And even if Barack Obama was on the planet, he wasn't old enough to remember anything. And if he was, he seems to not, because he didn't live in our neighborhood. He would have been staying with a white grandfather. What was he going to know about the civil rights movement? Excuse me, I'm just calling it like it is. He's been raised by his mother and his grandfather and his grandmother, and they were white people. So how much would he have known about the civil rights movement? Since everyone says, well, he can relate to us. How? He didn't grow up in Compton. He didn't grow up in Como. I'm just giving you a few areas. He didn't grow up down there on what would have been classified as Cooper Road in Shreveport, Louisiana. He didn't grow up in those areas. So how can he relate to us? I'm just helping the people out. I'm asking you the question, people, because it seems that a lot of you are following. Y'all are following people that do not have your interest at hand, and it's not because they don't care about you. It's because they don't know you. They cannot care about something they can't relate to and they don't know. At best, they read books just like the average person is about the history of civil rights. They wasn't there. They wasn't going to school like I was, where you get on the bus and every now and then you get spit on. No, they wasn't doing that. They wasn't there when we first did what we call our desegregation from the segregation. They wasn't there. They wasn't there. They didn't have to go to school and all of a sudden you turn in all your books and go from one all-black school to the next day to a so-called would-be white school and call it a mixed white school. They didn't have to do that. Do you know what it's like to be in a black neighborhood that you can walk to your would-be school every day, every morning? Rise and shine day. You could walk to school no matter what grade you was in, from first all the way to 12th. You could be in kindergarten. As long as you held the hands of somebody that was in the 8th grade or 7th grade, we walked to school because we were in our own neighborhood. We had our own schools. We had our own stores, everything. Do you know what it's like to all of a sudden have that pull from up under you where you got to now wait for a yellow bus to show up with an angry white man that's going to carry you to a so-called would-be finally a school that's got white and blacks in it? You have no clue. And just because you're coming out the door 5 minutes just before he stops, he will pull off and leave you standing there. Won't even open the door. Let me help you out. For all of you that think you understand what the civil rights movement or what was happening during that time, let me help you out. Those white boys didn't care if you were 8 to 80. If they didn't feel like they were going to stop that bus and open that door, they'd pass you right up. And some of them would make sure that you was on that side because they would tell you, don't wait on my door side, you wait on the other side. And they only told you that so they could spit out the window and spit on you. I'm just giving you facts so you can stop playing games with yourself like you understand or like you can relate. And you have no clue because you're not even old enough to understand what the civil rights movement was even like. I'm talking to those jackleg would-be so-called gravy-sopping, biscuit and chicken-eating so-called preachers. That's who I'm talking to right now. You have no clue. And I don't care anything about you having a Martin Luther King Jr. would-be celebration every year. You need to first get to figure out who Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. really was and what he was really doing. Then you might be able to relate to everything, and you won't find yourself standing out in the cold waiting to be spit on as well. Meantime, I need it. Let us all take a break.
Thank you, sir. You know, family,